Hi, and welcome to another edition of this week's State of Greater Western New York Report. I'm Chris Caroso, your host, and today we'll be talking about events and destinations in Allegany County. You'll be sure to enjoy this. They're really easy to go to, and they're a lot of fun on this week's version of the State of Greater Western New York Report, brought to you by...
Imagine yourself communicating with a difference. Pan-Dimensional Solutions helps you do this. Whether live spectator events, taped broadcasts, or real-time audience-engaging programs, you can benefit immediately from the tools Pan-Dimensional Solutions will share with you. Do you want to make a difference? Contact us at pandimensional.com. Welcome, everyone, to this edition of the State of Greater Western New York Report. Join us each episode as we discuss fantastic topics ranging from history to science to the strange and the wonderful, as well as the treasured spirit with which our region has infused America. We challenge you to consider all things Greater Western New York, from our region's very beginnings to how it inspires, how it empowers, and why it is so admired. Here's the host of the State of Greater Western New York Report, Chris Carosa.
Hi everybody, and welcome again to this week's version of the State of Greater Western New York Report. We're going to have a lot of fun today because we're going to be talking about fun things with Mr. Steve Havey. He's the Director of Tourism for Allegany County, and he's going to tell us a little bit about some of the destinations to go to. And then the later half of the show, he's going to tell us about some special events that you can go see this summer. Steve, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Chris. I'm doing very well. We're having fun here in Allegany County, and I think I would like to let the audience know how they can have fun in Allegany County as well.
Well, let's start right off. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the attractions that we see in Allegany County, or maybe how about this first? How might they be able to find out more information on it?
Okay, that's excellent. Good question. First of all, we have a website which is westernnewyorkwilds.com, which will give you everything you ever wanted to know about Allegany County and Western New York Wilds, which is exactly where we are and where we're speaking to you from today. Western New York Wilds in Allegany County is actually a beautiful rural county on the border with Pennsylvania. And we're an outdoors county, and we're noted for hiking, fishing, hunting, boating, camping, skiing, and a real opportunity to find your second home. Last year, $46 million was used to purchase second homes here in Allegany County and Western New York's wilds. And I think it's because people have determined that they can work from anywhere, and this is where they would prefer to be.
Good, excellent point. I know that I've traveled through Allegany County, I'm sure a number of our listeners have done. It's very beautiful and idyllic in many senses of the word, and it would be a great place to work from. I mean, hey, we have the world's richest person, Warren Buffett, doesn't work in any financial center. He works in the middle of the country in Omaha, Nebraska. So you can work from anywhere now, and why not Allegany County? Tell us about a certain place in Allegany County that is well known and it actually has a rather heavenly name.
Yes, you'd be speaking about the village of Angelica, which is right in the very center of Allegany County. And it's a beautiful village designed by a gentleman named Philip Church in 1805. And it has a beautiful park circle in the center surrounded by churches, and it's used for many gatherings and has been used for festivals for decades. Park Circle also hosted at least one official hanging. So there's that. The village was named after Church's mother, Angelica Schuyler Church. Alexander Hamilton was Angelica's brother-in-law, and Angelica Church's character plays a major role in the Broadway musical Hamilton. Philip Church also built a beautiful home called Villa Belvedere, a few miles from Park Circle. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the Hamilton and Burr duel, where Alexander Hamilton lost his life. What you may not know is that the pistols that were used and provided for that duel were provided by Alexander Hamilton. And after his death, Philip Church and his family kept them at Villa Belvedere until 1942 when they were sold. Now, Angelica is a wonderful place to visit and browse, and many antique shops on Main Street near Philip Church's Park Circle provide hours of browsing and shopping. It's a beautiful place, and it should not be missed if you're coming through Western New York Wilds in Allegany County. Now, if you'd like to go on to a different place, a little different take, how about something called Tall Pines ATV Park?
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you about that. That's a rather interesting place. I see people riding around with these four wheelers, off road vehicles, or ATVs in the back of their trailers, and I'm always wondering, where are they headed? I know of a few places around, but tell us about Tall Pines, because I think that's a pretty big place to go to, and it looks like people are going to have a lot of fun there.
Well, that's true. Tall Pines is actually a working Christmas tree farm of several hundred acres. And it's a unique opportunity to bring your fun machine and experience over 90 miles of fields and forests. Camping and rental cabins are also available. Food is available. And all the necessities are right there for you, including, you'll like this one, including a craft brewery called Kent Beer Company. Now, all the trails are purposely groomed for fun, including the occasional mud hole. In the summer, this is an extremely popular place, with many trailers filled with ATVs finding their way to Tall Pines ATV Park. And it's a blast, it really is. If you have an ATV, you may have found that there are limited places to ride it, and this would be one where you can really have a good time and spend the weekend.
You know, one of the things I always wondered is, do you need a license to drive an ATV in one of these parks?
You do not. However, depending on where you're located, you may need to have your ATV inspected or registered.
Oh, I see. And how
So
much?
depending on the locality.
In how many people are usually there at the peak time, or roughly how many people? How busy does it get? I guess that's the question.
It gets very busy. Tall Pines hosts, well, just for riding, they host several hundred people at a time. But they do have events. They have concerts, and they have a 24-hour motorcycle race up there. And when those events happen, you can find 1,000 or more people at Tall Pines enjoying themselves and enjoying the great outdoors.
And how does one get to Tall Pines? Is it off of 86, or do you have to hike?
That's easy. No, actually, it's just off 86, off the Alfred exit, and you follow that road south, and there are signs that take you right to. It's in Andover, New York, and there are signs that take you right to it.
Now that's the land version of having fun in Allegany County. Isn't there a water version too?
Well, you know, there's something that's a big attraction in Allegany County that does involve water. You're right. There are many people who come to kayak on the Genesee River. Now, there are 10 easy access points along the Genesee River in Allegany County that allow you to get in or out with your kayak. It provides over 40 miles of lazy afternoon kayaking. And I can tell you that that's a wonderful way to put your troubles to sleep. You get in a kayak and all is silent, and you take a beautiful, relaxing float requiring mostly beginner and intermediate kayak skills. It's not hard. And there's a fun fact you might be interested in. This river flows north, which is one of the few rivers that do. I think one of the others that do is the Nile, but of course we're nowhere near that. This provides a great opportunity for photography because you'll be gliding right through the habitats of bird and small animal species. And it's a wonderful place to just spend an afternoon. And you get into the water, and then you're able to get out again and put your kayak on your car and go home.
Sounds a lot of fun. And have people ever tried to mix the two, the ATV and the water sort of thing?
Not that I'm aware of, but you certainly could. There's no reason why you can't.
How shallow does the Genesee River get in parts? I mean, is the depth maintained very well throughout, or are there times when you could almost walk?
It depends. It really depends on the season. Early in the spring and right through early summer, there's plenty of water. In the latter part of the summer, if it's been warm, you have to be a little careful. You can kayak it, for the entire season, but you have to be a little more careful in the later summer when water levels are down.
Now, are there preferred entry points, or is it pretty much you can get in wherever you want?
You really can get in at any of the 10 entry points. I prefer, the one that I like is at Riverwalk Plaza in Wellsville, because it's easy for parking. It's an easy place to get your kayak in the water. And then you've got most of the river yet to kayak. And that I think works out well.
Yeah. Wellsville, I don't know if we're not talking about history too much, but can you just tell the audience a little bit about Wellsville? Because there's interesting stories around that little place.
Let me tell you the story about how it got its name. Let's start with that.
Sure.
A group of town fathers early on, before the town even had a name, got together in a tavern, and they decided they would name the town. And after some deliberation, they decided to name it after the gentleman who was missing and was not there that evening at the tavern. That was Gardner Wells, and ever since the town has been called Wellsville, and he got that by default.
So the lesson is never not attend a meeting, or you might get a place named after you. Now, I always thought, and I'm sure that a lot of people might think this, that it has something to do with oil wells, but apparently not. So, we learned something new. Yeah, great. Now, weren't there some oil wells around there, or I don't know if it's there.
There were. Yeah. In that area, in Wellsville and Bolivar and Richburg, and then that area were some of the richest people in the country at one time. That was near the turn of the century, when there was a huge oil boom going on. Something else you might be interested in, right in Allegany County was the first place that oil was actually discovered in North America. And it was an oil pool that was coming up out of the ground naturally, and the Native Americans used to use it for medicinal purposes. And as soon as the Europeans arrived and they realized what it was really good for, then the boom began.
Didn't that oil pond or oil water, didn't that dry up, or the oil stopped coming? Or I thought I remember reading about that at some point.
Yeah, it doesn't produce like it used to. It's still there, and it's a historic site. But no, you can't get oil out of it anymore. It seems to be either depleted, or perhaps the oil is headed in some other direction.
Right. Well, we're going to take a break, but before we do that, let me just tease you. We're going to be talking about something that is happening in about 11 days, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
And it is a big to-do. So stay tuned to the Greater Western New York Report. We'll return right after this message.
Through the mists of time, nature and man have both created and buried treasures beyond the imagination. With the ages, these riches slowly dissolve into mere myths until they are forever forgotten. But there are those brave souls who tirelessly cling to the truth, ever seeking to discover the undiscovered, to reveal what has always been there, to uncover the hidden gems of a land thought forsaken but loved by millions. 50 Hidden Gems of Greater Western New York. Discover the secrets in your own backyard. Buy your copy now at 50hiddengems.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Carosa, and again, you're watching the State of Greater Western New York report. I'm here this week with Steve Havey, who's the tourism director of Allegany County, and you just learned about some destinations that are there to go to all year round, although probably wouldn't go kayaking in the winter, I don't think. But still, there's a lot of fun things to do there. There's some events happening right now this summer, beginning with this very big one. Steve, tell us about this.
Absolutely. This is a big one. This is a signature event for the county. This is the Allegany County Fair, and this year it's July 19th through the 24th. Now, what makes this interesting and what you may find attractive about this is that this is a genuine old-time agricultural fair. You may find fairs that are near cities that have morphed into something else. They've morphed into perhaps amusement parks, or they've morphed into a lot of stage shows, and the agricultural part perhaps has been neglected. I can tell you this is not the case with the Allegany County Fair. It's an old-time agricultural fair. It has all the great smells and fun that you might remember. The midway is directly from your memories of when you were a kid. This is exactly what is produced here. It has all the great fair food that you might be interested in, probably not allowed to eat on your diet. And there's lots of animals to see. And this is something that's been going on for, 179 years, I believe, this year. And in addition to that, it does have certain shows and entertainment features connected with it. But once again, these are rural attractions such as horse pulling and demolition derby and things of that nature. There's actually even going to be a rodeo this year. So the thing to do, I guess, if you'd like to take a step back in time and back perhaps to your youth, is to stop down. And that is actually in beautiful Angelica, New York, which we spoke of in the first half, which is right off Interstate 86. There is an Angelica exit. And so we have a really good time with this every year.
Now, it's interesting is that the fair lasts for, about 6 days, 5 or 6 days?
Yep.
And then a couple weeks later, again in Angelica, there's another event. Tell us about that.
Well, in keeping with the rural theme here, and we are, of course, as we said, rural, there's something called Heritage Days in Angelica. And Angelica celebrates its heritage and its history. And we spoke earlier about Philip Church and his family and how they founded the town. There's a lot of that, a lot of history involved. But in addition, there are craft vendors and artisans, a farmer's market, food and refreshments. There's an antique farm equipment demonstration. Now, there's a game of roke, and I hope I'm spelling this or pronouncing this, pardon me, correctly. The game of roke, it looks like croquet, but it's played on a clay bed on a much larger area than a croquet court would be. And this is the game of roke, and right in the middle of the park circle, right where Philip Church wanted it to be, is this roke court, and it's used regularly, and there will be games, championships being held during Heritage Days. There will be music and bandstands. There will be some Amish goods. There will be a greenhouse with perennials and annuals, and it's a fun place to be for a couple of days.
Excellent. I was remiss. I haven't been paying attention to our audience, and I apologize for that. We did have a question going back to the ATVs at Tall Pines. And that is, can you rent the ATVs there, or do you have to bring your own?
That's an excellent question. At this time, you cannot rent them there. They are looking into that, but that takes their very simple and straightforward business to a whole different level of responsibility and expense. They are looking into it, but at the present time, they don't rent them.
You're not aware of any facilities that do rent them that are close by that you can then bring to Tall Pines, are you?
No, I am not. I don't. I'm not aware of any.
Well, there you go. Potential business for a budding entrepreneur. By the way, if you're watching live, and only if you're watching live, you can ask us questions, ask our guest questions, just by simply entering them in, preferably the chat as opposed to the Q&A. This one was in the Q&A, and that's why I missed it. But that's okay. Enter them either way, and I'll see what's going on. All right, so let's talk more about the activities for the summer later on in August. I know that there's an event that hunters will like. Tell us about that.
Well, we're going to have this year the 11th annual Western New York Bow Hunting Festival, which is held at the Swain Resort here in Allegany County. Now, Swain is normally in the winter it's a skiing resort, very well attended, a very fun, family-oriented skiing resort. However, in the summer, it takes on an entirely different flavor, and we have the Western New York Bow Hunting Festival, and there are activities for archers of all types and skills. Activities include 4 3D archery courses, 2 shooting ranges, kids courses, balloon shoot, archery competition, anything that you can name and mention having to do with archery. Not only can you show off your skills, but you actually can pick up a few pointers and improve your accuracy as an archer. There's, of course, food available, and this is situated once again at Swain Resort, which is over 100 wooded acres, and it's a wonderful thing. If you're an archer, you really should go, because this is a great place to enjoy what you like doing.
And you can buy a 3-day pass for $35. Single day passes as low as $15, except Saturday it's $25. So it sounds like a very fun thing, especially if you like bow hunting. The next month in September, the middle of September, you have something that I know I would like to go to. And I'm sure others would share this. I use a lot of this particular herb in much of the cooking that our family does. Tell us about this one.
Okay, this is a big one. This is the annual Garlic Festival in Cuba, New York. Now, when you first think of that, you may or may not think this is a wonderful thing to plan a festival around, but it turns out great. In my opinion, they are using garlic as an excuse to have a big party. And what will happen will be that you will have the opportunity to go to a number of different vendors, many of which are going to supply you with garlic-related products, which is very cool. You'll also, though, be able to attend the concerts and the shows that are available right there, all in one place. Now, you may notice in the background of the photos, there's a huge building. That actually is a horse stable. And that is the Empire Farms horse stable. And that is very historic. It goes back to the turn of the century. And horses were kept in there. I don't believe that they are currently. But it's a beautiful facility. Lots of grounds to set up something that like the Garlic Festival. And every year they do it, and every year I go, and every year we buy some things that are pertaining to garlic and have a good time at the same time. So it's somewhere where you really should go and check it out.
And the summer season actually, the summer event season, I should say, actually ends in the fall with a historic reenactment. What goes on there, and where do people come from, and where do they get their costumes?
All right, this is a big deal. this is probably the biggest deal of the group that we've talked about today. This is the annual Civil War weekend in, once again, Angelica, New York. Let me start by saying there's a group of reenactors that do this for fun, and they go to different festivals like this. And this is a local group. This is why I mentioned them. It's the 136th New York Volunteer Infantry, and they are the backbone of the event. And people come from all over to participate. And what they do is they set up camps in Park Circle and around there, so that you can see what a typical Civil War encampment would be like. They live in the tents, they cook, and do everything that you would see them normally do if you were in this part of the world or anywhere in 1865. And they have a number of skirmishes where they have an opportunity to shoot at each other with blanks, we hope. But it makes for a wonderful afternoon. Bring the family. It's very historic. All this stuff is authentic. They don't allow anything in here that is not certified 1865. And this happens once again right in the middle of Angelica. They have their shootouts right on Main Street, which makes it kind of interesting. The mock battles, they're using imitation muskets, and they're gaining valuable insights into Civil War life, and they really enjoy this. They come from everywhere. So what a great place for you to come and visit, and don't get shot.
Now, do the schools get involved with this? Because this is a great history lesson for the kids.
Actually, the schools do, and also the Boy Scouts do as well. I didn't mention it, but there's a Boy Scout encampment just a short distance away, and they participate in this, and they gain a lot of knowledge. And the schools, as you mentioned, are involved, and they have certain times during this particular weekend where the students can be bused there, and they can go through the encampment, ask questions, take pictures, and learn firsthand what it might have been like to be in camp in the Civil War in perhaps 1864, 1865.
Do the kids dress up too?
Some of the kids do. Some of the kids do. I know that people that enjoy this get hooked on this at a very early age. And every year they come back, and each year they get a little taller, and it's something that I guess you get hooked on.
Right. Is there a museum at all in Angelica that might cover the Civil War, or a facility like that where people can go even when they're not going during the reenactment weekend, where they can still get a flavor of what goes on?
At the local public library has a museum section. It doesn't deal exclusively with Civil War. You'll find stuff in there from Philip Church and other important events that have happened in Angelica, but that's housed right in the public library, right on Main Street, just a stone's throw from Park Circle. And they would be happy to have you come and look at the exhibits and ask lots of questions, because that's really important.
Well, great. Steve, do you have any closing words you'd like to share with the audience before we break for the day?
Well, if I could, I would just like to say that if you are thinking of coming through Allegany County, which again is Western New York Wilds, we've rebranded ourselves. That's our PR name, I guess. If you're thinking about coming through, I would strongly suggest that you do that. We are a break from the hectic dog-eat-dog world that you might see in the city. We are entirely different. We have working farms. We have Amish that are working the farms. We have little villages with shops, bed and breakfasts, the river. We have, of course, Angelica, Wellsville, etc. Yeah, lots to see. You should come through. It's like a breath of fresh air, and you probably would leave with a whole different attitude,
Very,
perhaps.
very, very beautiful place. Well, Steve, thank you very much. And I want to thank
Thank
everybody who's watching, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or even on our archives. Just want to invite you, if you'd like to watch it live, we're here every Thursday at noon. Just go to stateofgreaterwesternnewyork.com and you'll be able to put your name in there, put your email in there, and we'll send you a private invitation to be able to be a member of the live studio audience. Again, this is Chris Carosa for the State of Greater Western New York Report, thanking you. And we'll see you next week when we have a special show, a pregame show for our July 15th Western New York, Greater Western New York Town Hall meeting. We'll see you then.